Good morning. Let's continue talking about psychometric science. If I bless you or encourage you in any way, please like and subscribe. I'm going to talk about 4 social roles that generally come naturally and are somewhat changeable, but I say but very carefully because if it is within your personality to fulfill a specific role, you might try your whole life, or at least a long period, to get yourself somewhere else and find out that you really don't like it. The first two are very related, and they have many things in common despite being somewhat opposite. The other two are also related in their differentness. The first two are the ones you are probably familiar with, and the second two are much less common. I think that if you are one of the first two, you may not even clearly see the existence of the second two. So those words that describe those hierarchical roles or roles related to the notion of hierarchy are alpha, beta, sigma, and omega. You've heard the term alpha, you've heard the term beta. The terms that follow those you may have differing degrees of understanding of. They exist, though, in relation to the concept of hierarchy, either within it or outside of it. So an alpha of a hierarchy is someone who sees themselves at the top or toward the top, or in the very least above some others upon it. They are a part of it. They understand it. They are interested in enforcing its rules and making sure that others are compliant with it. Those people are often assertive, aggressive, competitive in the sense of wanting to be the one that issues the rules. But you cannot be one without a hierarchy to be a part of. So it exists only in relation to the hierarchy and to being a part of it. It can blend with beta in the sense that in a pure self-justifying hierarchy, there must be layers. And while they may be fighting with each other for who is at the top of the hierarchy, they will likewise inevitably find themselves, only one can be at the top, find themselves in the middle of layers, that is, under some and above others. The second is beta, and it exists in sharp contrast while being in definite relationship to the idea of a hierarchy. They see themselves as under, they see themselves as subordinate, and others see themselves as under and as subordinate. And beta does not exist without the concept of a hierarchy. It does not exist without the concept of an alpha to have that interaction with. Now, likewise, they tend to be subordinate, submissive, cooperative, and they will likewise, because of existing in a stratified hierarchy, find some of them to be above others and beneath others, and therefore there is a continuum between alpha and beta that extends from lowest possible person in a hierarchy to highest possible person on a hierarchy, which can be achieved by A, competition, but B, exemplifying the values of the hierarchy. Now, the next two exist in their sharp distinction and separation from the notion of hierarchy, one by choice and one without choice. The sigma exists outside of alpha and beta concepts and outside of hierarchy, whether or not they find themselves connected to hierarchy because of work, because of other social engagements. From the sigma perspective, There is not a need to continuously invest energy in trying to make sure you know who's in charge, whether it's them or not. That ideas should reign, and that sometimes human beings can self-organize just fine without an enforced hierarchy. They tend to see that there is a logical error underlying the idea of self-justifying creedological hierarchy. That is somewhat the anarchist idea that why does a government know any better than me and five of my friends? That sounds crazy. And yet, some of the most meaningful human clusters occur without extreme hierarchical organization. Um, the last one, and perhaps the most sad, is an omega. An omega perceives themselves and is perceived by others as having the lowest possible amount of authority and agency, having the least possible amount to offer, and the least possible ability to do anything about it. When these people are bitter about this, it does rise. Sorry, there's smoke in the air. It gives rise to the unfortunate modern social construct of the incel, which is a male stereotype, and I'm sure there is such a thing as a female omega, but someone who would be exerting all their social effort to become a beta and part of a hierarchy, but feels both personally in terms of value and sociologically in terms of ability to assert themselves in society as culturally impotent as can be imagined. Now, for the most part, alphas and betas see the world in hierarchy. I'm above you, you're above me. And see sigmas and omegas as broken versions of that. That is why, that sigma needs to be broken to either put his leadership abilities into a proper hierarchical place as an alpha, or broken to become a beta, or that omega is really just kind of a disgruntled beta who's, failed to take all of the criticism and failed to take all of the social discipline. And there is such a thing as social discipline where your peers ostracize or verbally correct you for your speech patterns or how you dress or mock you for your appearance. That guy was supposed to take that constructively and place himself in his proper place in the hierarchy. Both of these, the sigma can freely enter and exit the concept of hierarchies because the sigma can see it. The omega feels as if even the lowest spot of the hierarchy is a closed and mysterious door. You will hear that in terms of the people I wanted to talk to won't talk to me. The places I applied aren't responding to me. Um, it's just not fair. Um, so, alpha and beta, while opposite in some ways, exist in a continuum and a hierarchy, because it must be stratified in that way, have in common this idea that life is hierarchical and you have to find your place in it, and that all people can be stratified into a hierarchy. Sigma and Omega, despite being very, very different, have within them the idea that they are separate from the hierarchy. The Sigma because they can see it, because it does not automatically self-justify in the Sigma mind, and the Omega because of their perception that they are, and others' perception that they are incapable of agency, incapable of even entering it and participating in it. Now, this is an interesting starting point for me because where I want to go next is where the Myers-Briggs quadrants tend to align in terms of a natural preference for being alpha, beta, sigma, or omega. Have a wonderful day. If I have blessed you or encouraged you, please like and subscribe. And you have broccoli in your teeth.